Welcome to this module. In this module, let us have an insight of Unit 2 of Antenna and Microwave Engineering for 7th semester EC students. Unit 2 deals with the radiation mechanisms and design aspects of wire antennas, loop antennas, reflector antennas, frequency independent antennas, and aperture antennas. Now, let us assume that the linear antenna is fed by a balanced two-wire transmission line, and the antennas may be of any length, but it is assumed that the current distribution is sinusoidal. Current distribution measurements indicate that this is a good assumption provided that the antenna is thin. That is, when the conductor diameter is less than lambda by 100. So thus the sinusoidal current distribution approximates the natural distribution on this antenna. Examples of the approximate natural current distributions of on a number of thin linear center wire fed antenna are with the different lengths are shown in this figure, that is in this figure. The currents are in phase over each lambda by 2 section and opposite in phase over the next. And let us now proceed to develop the far field equations for a symmetrical thin linear center field antenna of length L. The retarded value of the current at any point Z on the antenna can be referred to as I is equal to I naught into sine of 2 pi by lambda into L by 2 plus or minus Z. In the function, sine of 2 pi by lambda into L by 2 plus or minus Z is the form factor for the current on the antenna. This expression L by 2 plus Z is used when Z is less than 0 and L by 2 minus Z is used when Z is greater than 0. By recording the antenna as made up of a series of infinitesimal dipoles of length dz, the fields of current entire antenna may then be obtained by integrating the fields from all the dipoles making up the antenna. And this far field DE0 and DH0 at a distance S from the dipole DZ or DE0 is equal to J60 pi I into sin theta dz by S lambda, and DH0 is equal to J into I sin theta dz by 2S lambda, where E0 is equal to 120 pi H0. It will suffice to calculate H0 or H5. The value of the magnetic field H5 for the entire antenna is the integral of this equation over the length of the antenna. Thus, H0 is equal to integral minus L by 2 to L by 2 dH5. Now introducing the value of dH5 in this equation and substituting, we will get H0 is equal to Ji sin theta into e power j omega t by 2 lambda into that integration parts of from minus L by 2 to 0 and 0 to L by 2 integration parts. So in this equation, this I by S affects only the amplitude and hence it is large distance and it may be regarded as a constant. Also, at large distance, the difference between S and R can be neglected in effect on the amplitude, although its effects on the phase must be considered. So, further, by reducing this equation, we will get H5 is equal to J into I naught into sin theta e power j omega 5 minus r j by 5 by 2 lambda r into the integral values. The integrals are of the form that is e power ax into sine of c plus bx into dx. So while integrating that, we will get the equation e power ax by a square plus b square into a sine of c plus hx plus b cos of c plus bx. So by substituting this value, will be getting the value of E phi as J into 60 I naught by R into cos of beta L cos theta by 2 cos beta L by 2 minus cos beta L by 2 into sin theta, where I is equal to I naught into e power j omega into R minus R omega t. Okay, and the far fields H phi and E phi of a symmetrical center field thin linear antenna of length is this equation is the far field, and the shape of the far field pattern is given by the factors in the brackets, that is given in the brackets. The factors preceding the brackets give the instantaneous magnitude of the fields as a function of the antenna current and the distance r. To obtain the RMS value of the field, I naught is the sum of it equals the RMS current at the location of the current maximum. So there is no factor involving phase, and since the center of the antenna is taken as the phase center, hence any phase change of the fields as a function of theta will be a jump of 180 degree when the pattern factor changes sign. So as examples of the far field patterns of a linear center field antennas, 3 antennas of different lengths will be considered, and since the amplitude factor is independent of length and only the relative field patterns is given by the pattern factor will be compared. Now let us consider the first case, that is lambda by 2 antenna, that is when L is equal to lambda by 2, pattern factor becomes E is equal to cos of pi by 2 cos theta into divided by sin theta, and this pattern is shown in this figure. It is only slightly more directional than the pattern of the short dipole, which is given by the sin theta. The beam width between half power points of lambda by 2 antenna is 78 degree as compared to the 90 degree for the short dipole. And case 2 is full wave antenna. When L is equal to lambda, the pattern factor becomes E is equal to cos of pi cos theta plus 1 by sin theta. And this pattern is shown in this figure. Here the half power beam width is only 47 degree. And now let us consider the third case, that is 3 lambda by 2. When L is equal to 3 lambda by 2, the pattern factor E is given by cos of 3 by 2 pi cos theta divided by sin theta. The pattern for this case is shown here. With the midpoint of the antenna as phase center, the phase shifts 180 degree at each null, and the relative phase of the lobes being indicated by minus and plus signs. In all 3 cases, the space pattern is a figure of revolution of pattern, and this will be around the axis of the antenna. Now let us take the case field at any distance from center field pole. The geometry for the center field at the point P from symmetrical center field dipole of length L with the sinusoidal current distribution is shown here in this figure. The maximum current I naught, the maximum current is denoted by I naught, and you can see that the Z component of the electric field at the point P is given by E is equal to J I naught Z divided by 4 pi and divided by 4 pi into e power minus jb into jb theta 1 by s1 plus e power minus jb theta 2 by s2 divided by s2 minus 2 cos beta l by 2 e power minus jb by r. Okay, the phi component of the magnetic field at this point will be given by that is the magnetic field H phi is equal to j I naught by 2 pi r sin theta into e power minus j beta 1 j beta s1 plus e power minus j beta s2 minus 2 cos beta l by 2 into e power minus j beta r. Whereas the other field equations for the oscillating dipoles given in this equations apply on the restrictions like without any distance restrictions. So this equations are of the pulse centered field dipole is that the field at the point P is made up of three field components, one from each end of the dipole and one from the center. If P lies on y-axis, that is theta is equal to 90, and the dipole is lambda by 2 long, your equation may become Z is equal to I naught into Z 2 pi by lambda into 1 by square root of 1 by 16 plus r lambda square, and to angle of minus 360 into square root of 1 by 16 plus r lambda squared minus 90 degree. And now let us consider the case the radiation resistance of a lambda by 2 antenna. To find the radiation resistance, the Poynting vector is integrated over a large sphere yielding the power radiated, and this power is then equated to I naught divided by square root of 2 the whole squared into R naught, where R naught is the radiation resistance at a current maximum point and I naught is the peak value in the time of current at this point. And the total power radiated was given by P is equal to 15 I naught squared by pi in integral 0 to 2 pi integral 0 to pi cos beta L by 2 cos theta minus cos beta L by 2 the whole square divided by sin theta into d theta d phi. By integrating the value d phi and substituting the higher value of integration and lower value, that is 2 pi minus 0, pi will get cancelled, and therefore your equation becomes 30 I squared into integral 0 to 2 pi cos of beta L by 2 into cos theta minus cos beta L by 2 the whole squared into divided by sin theta into d theta. Equating this radiated part, this equation P is equal to I naught squared into R naught by 2 will get R naught is equal to 2 into P divided by I naught squared. Therefore our equation will become R naught is equal to 60 into integral 0 to pi cos beta L by 2 into cos theta minus cos beta L by 2 the whole square divided by sin theta into d theta. And now let us have a look into radiation resistance at a point which is not at a current maximum. If we calculate, for example, the radiation resistance of a 3 lambda by 4 antenna by this method, we obtain its value at a current maximum. This is not the point at which the transmission line is connected. Neglecting antenna losses, the value of the radiation resistance so obtained as the resistance R naught, which would appear at the terminals of the transmission line connected at a current maximum in the antenna, provided that the current distribution on the antenna is the same as when it is center fed as we see in the figure in the previous slides. Okay, since change of the fed point from the center of the antenna may change the current distribution, and the radiation resistance R naught is the value which should be measured on a 3 lambda by 4 antenna or any symmetrical antenna whose length is not an odd number of lambda by 2. And however, R naught can be easily transformed to a value which would appear across the terminals of the transmission line connected at the center of the antenna. And this may be done by equating the equation which we see that is I1 squared R1 by 2 to the power supplied by the transmission line, that is I1 squared R1 by 2, where I1 is the current amplitude at the terminals and R1 is the radiation resistance at this point, and therefore we get I1 squared R1 by 2 is equal to I naught squared R naught by 2, and therefore from this equation we'll get R1 is equal to I naught by I1 the whole squared into R naught, where R naught is the radiation resistance calculated at the current maximum. So this R1 gives the radiation resistance appearing at the terminals, right? And the current I1 at a distance x from the nearest current maximum will be given by I1 is equal to I naught into cos beta x, where I1 is the terminal current and I naught is the maximum current. Therefore, R1 can be expressed as R1 is equal to R naught by cos squared beta x. When x is equal to 0, R1 becomes R naught, but when x is equal to lambda by 4, R2 is equal to infinity. If R naught is not equal to 0, that is, however, the radiation resistance measured at a current maximum x is equal to lambda by 4 is not infinite, has to be calculated from this equation, that is R1 is equal to R naught by cos squared beta x. Since the actual antenna is not infinitesimally thin and the current at a maximum point is not 0, nevertheless, the radiation resistance at a current maximum may be in practice that may be a very large value in the order of thousands of ohms. And now we'll have a look into fields of a thin linear antenna with a uniform traveling wave. In this discussion, we'll be looking into the case of antennas with sinusoidal current distribution. The current distributions may be regarded as the standing wave produced by two uniform, that is traveling wave of equal amplitude moving in opposite directions along the antenna. If, however, only one such wave is present on the antenna, the current distributions is uniform. The amplitude is constant along the antenna and the phase changes linearly with the distance as shown in this figure. That is, you can see in this figure. And the condition of the uniform traveling wave on an antenna is one of the considerable importance, as this condition may be approximated in a number of antenna systems. For example, a single wire antenna terminated in its characteristics impedance, that is shown here in this first figure, it may have essentially a uniform traveling wave. This type of antenna is often referred to as a beverage or wave antenna. Terminating rhombic antenna may also have essentially a single traveling wave. Okay, and the next is other type of antennas that have the first approximation, single outgoing traveling wave, a single outgoing traveling wave, or a long monofilar axial mode helical antenna and a long thick linear antenna. These antenna have no terminating impedances, as you can see, but they can behave in a similar way to terminated antennas. Thus, a thick linear conductor has a current distribution similar to thin terminated linear conductor, and the patterns are similar if the conductor diameter is not too large. The results for a traveling wave on a linear conductor can be applied to helix. And by considering the helix consists of a short number of short linear segments, on the linear antennas, the phase velocity of the traveling wave is substantially equal to the velocity of light. However, the phase velocity along the conductor of the monofilar axial mode helical antenna may differ appreciably from the velocity of light. And hence, to make the results applicable to any one of the antenna, the fields from the antenna with the traveling, the fields from this antenna from the traveling wave will be developed for the general case where the phase velocity v of the wave along the conductor may have an arbitrary value. Proceeding now to find the field radiated by a traveling wave of thin linear conductor, let us consider a conductor of length b coincident in z-axis and with the end at the origin of a cylindrical coordinate system, that is rho, phi, z. And this it is assumed that a single uniform traveling wave is moving to the right along the conductor. Okay, since the current is entirely in the z direction, the magnetic field has but one component H5. The direction is more normal to the page at P, and it is positive since it's outward from the page. The magnetic field H5 can be obtained from Hertz vector phi. And now let us have a look into field patterns of obtained on linear conductors carrying a uniform traveling wave. In the first case, let us have the linear lambda by 2 antenna. Okay, and this linear lambda, assuming P is equal to 1, the phase velocity along the antenna is equal to that of light, and the pattern calculated will be shown in this figure. Okay, and the difference between this pattern and that for linear lambda by 2 with the sinusoidal current distribution or standing wave is striking. The lobes are sharper here and also tilted toward the forward in the case of traveling wave antenna. Now you can see in the first figure, the tilt is in the direction of the traveling wave. The tilt angle tau of the direction of maximum radiation is 25 degree, and the beam width between the half bar points is about 60 degree. This is in contrast to tau is equal to 0 and a beam width of 78 degree for the lambda by 2 antenna with the sinusoidal current distribution or standing wave. As the phase velocity of the traveling wave and the lambda by 2 antenna is reduced, the tilt angle is increased and the beam width is reduced further, as you can see in this figure. And for the cases of P is equal to 0.8 and 0.6. And the second case is linear antenna of 5 lambda long. The field patterns for the 5 lambda linear antenna with a single traveling wave is presented in this figure. And for this case, where P is equal to 1, this pattern is typical of those for long terminated antennas, and the radiation being beamed forward in a cone having the antenna as its axis, and the tilt angle for this antenna is about 68. And case 3 is lambda by 2 to 25 lambda long. As the length of the antenna is increased, the tilt angle increases further, reaching about 78 degree, that is 12 degree from antenna, when the length is 20 lambda for P minus 1. The variation of the angle of the conical beam from the antenna is shown in this figure here, and the variation of the angle is a function of length for a wave traveling at the velocity of light. P is equal to 1. So in this figure, the alpha is the complement of the tilt angle tau, and that is when alpha is equal to 90 minus tau. Thank you.